Hey everybody, it's Robin and welcome to my channel. Today on the Robin's Nest, I have this elegant nautical themed cake to share with you guys that is so simple and fun. So be sure to stay anchored to that seat. You guys are going to love this one. So let's get right into it. So for today's cake, we're going to be using 3 6-inch vanilla cakes as well as 1 4-inch vanilla cake. Now we're going to start by leveling these off, and we're actually going to save these cake tops, and you're going to see why in just a moment. But as soon as I finish leveling this off, we're also going to adjust our cake leveler and cut that 4-inch into a few separate layers as well. And now that we have all of our layers leveled out, we're going to take one of our 4-inch layers and we're going to lay that on top of our cake scrap, and we're going to cut a few more layers so we can make that 4-inch cake nice and tall. Okay, so with our layers prepped, that means it's time to stack and fill. So we're just going to put a little bit of buttercream on our cake board, and we're going to attach that first layer of cake and add a nice big dollop of my easy vanilla American buttercream. And you guys can find the recipe link down in the description box below, along with links to some of my favorite baking tools and most of the ones you'll see me use in this video. And these are affiliate links. I do not get paid if you click, only if you buy. So next up, we are going to work on our crumb coat. So I'm using a small offset spatula to apply a nice thin layer of that same white vanilla American buttercream all over our cake, sealing in all these crumbs, and then we're just going to clean up that top lip a little bit before popping our bottom tier into the fridge to firm up completely while we start working on our top tier. So this one is a 4-inch, and we are going to assemble this one onto its own cake card, which is going to be the exact same size as the cake itself, so 4 inches as well. So we're just going to go ahead and stack and fill all of these layers, and I went with 5 in total because I wanted it to be nice and tall. And now it's time to give this little tiny cake a tiny little crumb coat before we pop this into the fridge as well. So while we're waiting for our cakes to chill, this is the perfect time to start working on our topper. So I've rolled out a piece of yellowish colored fondant, and I'm using my stencil method to mark off the pattern and an X-Acto knife to very carefully cut it out and pull away all that excess fondant, revealing our design. So now that we have that cut out, we can begin the steps of turning this into a topper. So what I'm going to do is take this piece of fondant, which I've already rolled, and we're going to press a toothpick into it and then lay our design directly on top, sandwiching that toothpick in between and then cutting away the excess from our design, revealing our topper. And I'm going to dust our little anchor with some gold dust to make it extra shimmery and beautiful. And there you have it, guys. Very simple. So now we're just going to lay this off to the side, and you can let it dry for a few hours, or you can pop it in a food dehydrator for about 30 minutes to an hour. And now while I still have my yellow handy, we're going to make some rope. So we're just rolling this out, making extra long snakes, and I like to use my fondant smoother to get my strips nice and even. And now we're just going to fold that in half, and I'm going to twirl it upon itself until we get it nice and tight and looking like a rope. So this one I've made here is big enough for my 4-inch cake, but we're going to need a second one for the bottom tier. So it's going to have to be long enough to wrap right around a 6-inch cake. And as you guys can see, we'll be dusting those with some gold dust as well. Alright, so with our fondant decorations complete, we can go ahead and add that final frosting layer to our cake. So we're using that same white American buttercream as we used before, and my small offset spatula to apply a nice thick generous layer this time. And then we're going to use a bench scraper to smooth it out, and this is going to get your cake nice and smooth. So you're just going to go round and round and round until you're completely happy with how that looks. And then we're going to clean up that top lip a little bit just by holding our bench scraper at approximately a 45-degree angle, and then in one swift motion carefully drag inwards and lift that excess icing away. And remembering to clean your bench scraper between every stroke so as not to add more icing back onto the cake. And then we're just going to repeat those same steps with our 4-inch cake, and then we're going to pop those 2 tiers into the fridge to firm up completely in preparation for our tier assembly. Okay, so once our bottom tier has had some time to firm up, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to mark off where we want our stripes to go. And this is so much easier to do at this stage than it is after you stack your cake, so I do recommend doing this first. And now with that out of the way, we can add some support. So I'm just going to use some regular straws. We're just going to insert them into the cake and snip them off. And I'm going to use 3 because it's only a small cake. We don't need a whole lot. And then we're going to use a tiny little bit of buttercream on the very top to make it sticky so that top tier sticks right into place. So once we loosen this from our cake board using our hands, we're just going to stick that right into place. And now we are going to add a central dowel down through the center of our cake. And this is going to keep it from moving or keep your tiers from sliding off the cake board when you're transporting the cake. And you're going to want to make sure it's hammered right down into your cake drum so you know it's nice and secure. Alright, now that we've assembled our main structure, it's time to dress the cake. So I've rolled out some navy colored fondant and we're just measuring this off, and we're going to make some nice thick stripes for the first round, which are going to go all around our bottom tier where we used our ruler to mark the lines before we stacked our cake. And for anybody who's curious about the measurements, the width of each of my stripes was about 3/4 of an inch by 10 inches long, and that would give me 2 stripes for each strip of fondant that I made. And in total, I put 8 thicker stripes all around the bottom tier of the cake. So with all of those in place, it was then time to make the stripes to fill in between the thicker stripes around the bottom tier of the cake. So originally I cut my stripes that I had in half, but when I checked it, I found it to be a little bit too thick, so I went ahead and I cut them in half again to make them even thinner, and then I used those to go around the cake, so there was a nice dramatic difference in size between the lines. And now that we have our stripe pattern laid, which I think looks fabulous, it's time to dress up the rest of the cake. So we're going to add our gold rope, which we are going to trim the excess at the back of the cake, and then we're going to add our beautiful golden anchor, which I'm going to insert on a slight angle, and then we are going to finish this cake off with a beautiful wafer paper rose. And no, I don't have a tutorial yet, but one will come soon, I promise, so stay tuned. Well, here she is, guys, and I am so in love. Nautical style cakes are my jam because you don't know this, but I actually spent 9 years working on a fishing boat. So yeah, fun fact about me. Maybe I'll elaborate more someday, but that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, you guys know what to do. Hit that big thumbs up button and leave me some love in the comment section too. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, and I will see you on the next one.